This is Itadori in 2020. This is Itadori in 2023. Anime character transforming isn't anything new, but it's particularly rare in shonen for changes to stick. Your brother just got a molten hand pushed through him? Cry a bit, move on. Your city is completely taken over by villains? Act like an angsty teenager? Cry a bit, move on. Your sister gets battered in front of you by your former friend? Quietly cry a bit and then move on. When anime have huge moments that completely change characters, it takes them in a loop of where they were before, making them darker, sadder, angrier, temporarily, but then the end of the journey is typically the same place you started. It isn't as though the event didn't happen and you can't argue the moment was pointless, but it really takes the emphasis away from it when it's a huge moment that's been built up to for the whole season, the whole arc, sometimes the whole anime, just for it to be reverted. Jujutsu Kaisen now has a chance to change all of that with Itadori Yuji! Now, in order to understand if an anime has the chance to break that mold and be different, you need to understand the vibe and the stakes that the anime has presented so far. For example, pretty much regardless of what happens in Demon Slayer, Tanjiro is always going to be Tanjiro, which makes it pretty easy to predict how he's going to react, and characters like this aren't the most fascinating, aren't the most deep, and often can fall pretty flat. Jujutsu Kaisen has already established that they aren't scared of shit. Characters die left and right, civilians, teachers, villains. It doesn't wait for a viewer to marinate in reveals or character perspectives. A leader of the Zenin clan literally gets introduced and dies within 5 episodes. Nanami, one of the most loved characters, is dead. Gojo is literally one of the most popular characters in anime, and he is completely sidelined. In JJK, no one is safe, and at any moment, a near cataclysmic event can happen that will completely change the complexion of the story. So it's pretty safe to say that Itadori is never going to be the same. But what makes it really interesting is how Itadori went from one of the most lighthearted characters in this dark world to making even the epitome of evil, Mahito, scared shitless. When Itadori was introduced, he was a character most people were relatively lukewarm about, with nothing we hadn't seen before. He had funny moments like Naruto, but then gets angry when his friends are in trouble like Ichigo, and he has one line from his grandfather that is very, very simple.
Yuji.
And with that being his driving force, he was essentially a dime a dozen. Nothing really that broke the mold that we had seen before, and he was constantly getting overshadowed by Gojo's swagger or Megami's craziness. Nothing really stood out one way or the other, and it seemed like that wasn't going to change in season 2, starting with Gojo's backstory, and even when he gets introduced, his screen time is balanced pretty well with every other character, but then shit started going down, and I mean literally down. It all started with one of the best cinematic moments in anime this year, easily. A fairly typical Itadori JJK fight. You're limited to an area with a villain with a really interesting ability, and Itadori gets injured really badly and pulls out a victory that's almost like a draw. But when I was watching, I was like,
wait a minute! Who are you?
Chozo isn't villain rank 2. Chozo is someone you could not even know was in JJK until that fight. I was like, no way is Itadori done here. Something is obviously gonna go down. What does Gege do? He drugs up Itadori while he's knocked up. Like, take this shit. Force feeding him fingers for Sukuna to cause absolute havoc. It's not a situation like when Naruto loses control and then Ninetales slaps Sakura, or when Gon kills Pito. No. He kills thousands of people, villains, heroes, bystanders. He doesn't give a care in the world. He operates with no real purpose other than just being a complete demon. The king of curses for a reason. Rumor has it this victim's last words before she died were, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. When Itadori finally gains control, you might think, oh, this is the end of Itadori, but what's interesting is he doesn't harp on it for too long. Most anime might make Itadori wait even a whole season to mentally recover from this, and honestly, could be an interesting journey. But instead, it goes a different route, and he very quickly realizes that he needs to push forward to rectify Sukuna's actions. So you may think this is the start of Itadori's comeback, thinking that it's time for him to turn it up and murk everyone. He's not about to take any more L's. Nope, not at all. The death of Nanami, his mentor, exploding right in front of him by a villain he encountered earlier in the series, is without a doubt one of the best ways for a death to hold impact on both Itadori and the audience. A lot of characters that had died to that point were either new characters or characters without a name, but instead by having Nanami die, both the audience and Itadori feel the absolute rage towards Mahito like no other. You want to hop into the screen and handle business yourself. With the character like Nanami, who's more normal than any other character in this crazy world, going out like that, it just can't not make makes you mad. It's like when that quiet kid that's minding his own business in class starts getting harassed. You feel such a strong, blind rage toward a single entity in Mahito that you just want to rip his head off, and it seems like Itadori is going to do just that. And that this is the apex of his pain, and this is going to be his peak for the rest of the series. Nope, not at all. To kill off such a significant character in Nobara that holds value in all angles of the story is more jaw-dropping than Gojo being sealed, more shocking than what Sukuna did. This is Nobara, the Sakura of the story. In this trio, they aren't supposed to die. You barely even know Nobara to this point. Can you imagine if Nami died before achieving her dreams, or if Uromi died in Bleach? This is pain. I think seeing Itadori's transition and taking in all that information is identical to how we were feeling while we were watching it. But Itadori at this point is just praying for death. It would be a gift. How much pain can one character take until they just give up, until they hang up their cape and just go away? There isn't much more a character can take, from Junpei to Nanami to Nobara, all on top of all the people Sukuna killed. What is left for Itadori to do? He just feels like a fly in this world of monsters and curses. And then when Todo showed up, I like Todo, you like Todo, who doesn't like Todo? It's Todo. But I got real worried here. I figured that at this point Todo wasn't gonna die or anything like that, but I was worried Itadori was just gonna move past it way too soon and get over it, until he finally lands that finishing blow, that moment where he's chasing Mahito and he gets more scared of Itadori, and a character like Mai, who has caused both Itadori and the audience so much pain, you suddenly feel bad for him. He's getting walked down with Itadori as he's being depicted as a pack of wolves, and when he says, you realize that he is not the same smiling character. That is no longer the same person that broke the shot put record, or even the same character that died and didn't even care. But this is someone entirely different. This is a broken man that no longer has feelings. He looks more like a weapon here than anything. Someone that operates with the sole purpose of violence. The transformation is believable, and more than that, it's heavy. Most of the time, anime fans get hyped for death and sad moments because of either hype or just wanting to actually feel something when you're watching a series, but instead you genuinely look at Itadori and feel bad for him. I wonder if that kid that was smiling is ever gonna come back. Can a character who has gone through as much as he had ever look the same? He's lost friends, lost his mentor, even lost his whole city. At this point, Mahito may not have killed Itadori, but he snatched his soul away, almost in a Joker-like manner, that even if he didn't win, he broke Itadori in a way that no one else did. Being an anime only for JJK, it's been pretty shocking watching this all unfold, and there was definitely moments throughout the season where I was like, this is hype, but some of these characters needed more development before dying or fighting, and I wasn't really sure if there was going to be genuinely heavy moments throughout the course of this season, but this hits you hard. Itadori in this scene looks completely unrecognizable to the character he once was, and I believe with everything we've seen in the story thus far that there is no way that character who wanted to protect his friends with a smile is ever going to come back. He will inherently be the same. He'll smile, he'll still want to protect people, but now with more of a vengeance and anger within himself that isn't typical for shonen MCs. They're supposed to be bright, cheerful, representing hope in the most perilous situations, but with this new turn, including the likes of Hell's Paradise, Chainsaw Man, and even the GOAT, greatest of all time, the undisputed king, Kagurabachi, we've seen a shift in the genre towards more serious and real main characters that have a lot heavier of themes throughout the story. The times of Naruto and One Piece are done with main characters that never technically kill anyone, but instead this is Itadori, and he is ruthless and he is not coming back the same. And regardless of what happens in the future, this will be one of the pinnacle moments of his character arc in which he became the character he will be throughout the end of the series. So if you enjoyed this eulogy, check out this breakdown on the best character in One Piece, Sanji. And if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe, and don't forget, we're just getting started, we're gonna stay consistent, and I will see you in the next video.